So you're really welcome to this Building Bones online class. I'm a shiatsu practitioner, and a shiatsu means acupuncture without needles. So I use exactly the same system of Chinese medicine, all the meridians, all the points exactly the same, but instead of needles, I just use thumb pressure. And in Chinese medicine, we have this 5 elements. All the organs are separated into different elements, times of year, they have a color, they have a flavor, and they do specific jobs. So this month in Chi Flow with Jo, we've been doing all about the immune system, and we've been covering the spleen and the lungs because they work together to send the energy up to make this big, what's called Wei Qi, which is like a protective boundary. And next month in Chi Flow with Jo, we're going to be doing bone marrow cleansing, and we're going to be about strengthening the bones in Chinese medicine using acupressure, food medicine, and Qigong energy exercises. So I thought I'd give you a kind of brief overview of kind of like how to build healthy bones in terms of Chinese medicine. Some of the things are the same in Western medicine, but some of them might be a little bit new and a different kind of concept. All right. So first of all, building bones. So bones, we have kind of so many bones. We have the skull, we have cheekbones, we have all sorts of different bones in the body. But as a collective, the skeleton is governed by the kidney. Let me get my book here. If you have my book, you can turn to the very beginning and you can see here, you can see the 5-element chart, and you can see here are the kidneys, and they have a partner organ, the bladder. So the kidney and bladder, their color is deep dark blue, and they govern your skeleton, and they govern your hormone level as well. And if, like me, I'm kind of like mid-menopause, I'm 53, I've had my peri, I'm kind of in my mid-menopause, you'll know that those hormones can really affect the density of your bones. And women who are peri or postmenopausal are more likely to develop thinning bones and osteoporosis because of their hormone levels. So generally your bones will always reproduce all the time. In Chinese medicine, it's said that every 7 years your whole kind of skeleton is reproduced, and you can keep growing and growing and growing. And even when you stop growing, I'm only 5 foot and I haven't grown for a long time, but even when you stop growing, the bones will still regenerate. And what happens with thin bones is when that regeneration process starts to slow down. And it doesn't have to be like that. We don't have to age so quickly. So what I'm going to do today is talk to you really about the kidney and bladder system in Chinese medicine. So as I already showed you, the color for the kidney and bladder system in the Chinese medicine is blue-black. So often you might see blue-black underneath your eyes here, and that will be telling me adrenal exhaustion. So anybody who also gets kind of puffy eyes, you know, if you get bags here as well, that will be telling me that the bladder is under stress. But especially these blue-black circles will tell me adrenal exhaustion. Adrenal, ad meaning next to, renal meaning kidney, adrenal next to kidney. So the adrenal glands, which are situated just above the kidneys on the back of the body, are very intertwined with the hormonal system and also your bones, and I'm going to be getting to that in a minute. But blue-black is the color that you want to be thinking of. The element is water, so you want to make sure that you're really hydrated. Now, if you become dehydrated, if you go into hospital because you're dehydrated, they just don't give you water to drink. They hook you up with a saline solution. And what's that? Salts and sugars, because the flavor for the kidney and bladder is salty. But before we get that far, let's backtrack a little. What are blue-black foods? So some blue-black foods would be blueberries, blackberries, turtle beans, aduki beans, these really kind of deep, dark blue colors. And my favorite is seaweed. Can you see how deep and dark these colors are? The color of seaweed is. Now, seaweed, what flavor is it? It's salty and it's blue-black. And really, it's full of loads and loads of minerals like calcium, magnesium, manganese, copper, zinc, all of these minerals you need for good, strong bones. And it tastes. So this is just sprinkles. These are sprinkles, nori sprinkles. And I love it. I love the taste of seaweed. I would eat seaweed every day. Well, I do eat seaweed every day. And people are kind of like, oh, well, I can't have seaweed because of my thyroid. Yes, if your thyroid has become out of balance, then really seaweed you can't have. But to keep your thyroid healthy before it goes out of balance, you want to be having seaweed. And next month for Christmas, this one is called Dillisk. Can you see? You just have that in your handbag and you eat it just as kind of like a little snack. It's really densely packed with minerals and protein and is really great for fortifying bones. Another part of the kidney system would also be your hair. So if you're finding your hair is becoming thinning as a menopausal woman, eating plenty of foods for the kidney and bladder. Now, I can't go through them all here, but you can find them in either copy of my books. A few more would be, well, I'll get onto those. I'll just finish with the seaweed. A lot of people say, well, how do I use the seaweed? So you can just eat it like that. You can buy the sprinkles and you can put it over your eggs. You can put it over potatoes. I often get pieces of wakame and cook my rice. And this, in the 14th of December, I'm going to have an extra special class. It's free for people with Chi Flow with Joe. Otherwise, you can pay €10. And it's going to be coming live from my kitchen. And I'm going to show you how to use seaweed in everyday cooking. So in rice, for eggs, how you can use seaweed all the time, because it's salty and it's densely packed with minerals. So it's really, really good for the bones and it's really easily absorbed. If you had a pound of meat, it would actually take a lot of energy for the meat to be broken down and the protein to be absorbed into the body and any minerals taken out. But actually, when you eat seaweed, because it's a sea vegetable, it's really easily broken down by the body and the minerals are really easily absorbed into the body. All right, so I hope I've sold you on seaweed. So blue-black foods, also foods that are salty in flavor. And what could be more salty than salt? But if you're going to have salt, you have to make sure that it is sea salt, or that minerals haven't been stripped out of the salt. You need all the minerals to be still in the salt. So a little bit of salt every day, very important for strong bones. And some other really good strong bones foods would be broccoli, almonds, bone broth. I've still got a bit of seaweed in my mouth. Bone broth is fantastic. It's a really bioavailable source of collagen. So the difference between teeth and bones is that bones have collagen. They have a certain amount of elasticity. And again, as we age, the collagen levels can drop in the body and the bones can become brittle like the teeth. So we need to be keeping that bioavailable collagen up. So plenty of foods, like I said, almonds, eggs, bone broth, the mineral rich foods, any of your dark leafy greens, your spinach, your broccoli, flat leaf parsley, they're actually packed full of calcium, magnesium, manganese, phosphorus, fantastic green leafy foods. So don't just go reaching for the glass of milk, because actually When you drink milk, this can actually bring an acidic effect to the body and start to leach calcium from the bones. So far better to get your calcium intake from your green leafy vegetables, from your seeds, your nuts, sesame seeds, fantastic. Bone broth, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds. So these are a collection of the foods. And like I say, you can find more of those in my books if you want to delve deeper into the food aspect. And so there's one way that we can really kind of boost the bones by keeping the calcium and the minerals up. But what happens when we start to lose the calcium from the bones? We are leaking our qi, as we say in Chinese medicine. You are leaking energy. How do we leak energy from the kidneys? Fear. So each of the organs are paired. So liver and gallbladder are paired. Their emotion would be anger and frustration, but the kidneys are fear. And you can kind of feel that, like if you're at the back here, when you get, what happens when you get really, really frightened? Your bladder opens. What happens when you get really frightened is often your kidneys can really shrink in. And if you are in fear a lot, you can actually get a lot of lower back ache. And this will deplete the energy of the kidney. It will send your hormones crazy. And again, it will really deplete the strength of your bones. So how do you know if you're fearful? Well, there's a few different signals. If you get overly impatient, this can really mess with the energy of the kidneys. So you're not just going with the flow and kind of going, okay, things haven't happened as quick as I like, but we're on the way. If you get overly impatient all the time, that would be telling me that your kidneys are fearful and you've got too much fear in your body. Also, if you doubt yourself consistently, or if you resist change, if you really, really resist change, this can bring a deep-seated fear in the body. And finally, those negative thoughts really don't help your kidney energy and will this in Chinese medicine, there's not just a physical aspect. It fits with the emotional, it fits with the spiritual. So if you were just expecting me to talk about the physicality of it, that's not Chinese medicine. You know, when did you last go to your doctor and your doctor kind of go, well, what's been going on for you emotionally? You know, what's going on for you at home? How are you feeling mentally? But these all affect your general health level, and they will all affect the density of your bones. So to keep your bones nice and strong, don't leak kidney energy with fearful thoughts and fearful practices. So I'm going to show you a really great acupuncture point, which we're going to do acupressure. Like I said, we use the fingers to manipulate and move. And I will be going for the next month. We will be addressing all of those emotional issues of doubt, impatience, negative thoughts, resisting change, and using Qigong to actually calm the body and gain confidence. How can you do that with energy exercises? Well, if any of you have been with me for Qi Flow with a while, you'll know that that's really possible. It really stops panic attacks, anxiety, and helps with a greater flow through life. So let's show you where this acupuncture point is that will really help to turn off the fear triggers. So first off, what I want you to do is find your waist. All right, you got your waist? Turn your hands around so that your thumbs are facing forwards and your fingers are facing behind you, and slide your middle finger to either side of the spine. Here's the spine down the middle, and either side you've got a ridge of muscle. So in that ridge of muscle, in line with your waist, I want you to just massage into here. That is bladder 23. And if you're feeling very fearful, very anxious, very exhausted, maybe adrenally exhausted, maybe the menopause has just become too much, massage this point. You can even rub with your hands. And I mean, what do we do when we're really tired? We do this, and we hold our lower back. So really support your lower back. Rub here, bladder 23. Rubbing into this point, pressing with the middle fingers, hold. Feel the energy sink. Maybe you feel your heartbeat just slowing slightly. Maybe you feel a peaceful, calm feeling flowing over you like water. Rub there, sweep it over the waist and come just below the belly button. Rubbing the kidneys, sweeping over and under the belly button. Just holding underneath the belly button. So, you know, you could be eating the right foods till kingdom come. But if you're not managing your mental health and your emotional health, there's really not going to be any point. You know, a lot of people think food is the problem and food will be the cure. It is an amazing way to connect with your body. I love food. I've written 2 cookbooks all about food in Chinese medicine, but it is rarely the cause of a problem. Usually the cause of a chronic problem is emotional or spiritual that has a physical manifestation. So in Chi Flow with Joe, we address that. So let's just rub the kidneys one more time, bring it over and down we go, underneath the belly button. So I hope that's made you feel a bit more relaxed. And then to shift gear a little bit, another thing that depletes the kidney is, if I grab my book here again and go and I find my diagram, my 5-element diagram. There are 3 different 5-element diagrams in this book, and you just use which one that you need. Here we go. So you can see the outside has got some arrows, and this is what's called the constructive cycle. This is when the kidney is functioning properly. It helps the liver supports the heart supports the spleen. Inside you can see the arrows which form a pentacle. You can see here, if the spleen is out of sync, it destroys the kidney. So it can actually weaken the kidney. And the spleen, the flavor for the spleen, sweet. So lots and lots of sugars will deplete the kidney energy. So that's 2,000 years ago. Chinese medicine knew that. If I put it in terms of Western medicine, when you eat sugar, that creates an acid reaction in the body. And to come back to balance, the 7.5 pH neutral, so we'll say that the acid is down here. So you eat sugar and lots of acid. And so what happens is we have to alkalize to come back to balance. And what alkalizes? Minerals. Calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, manganese, all of these alkalize the body. So when your body is constantly in a state of acid, you can see what's going to happen is that the body is going to start to draw the calcium and the magnesium, which are the alkalizing minerals, to balance the body. And so if you eat too much sugary food, this is going to damage and weaken your bones. So let me show you how we can actually use a point to help with this. But the sugar, let me also say, calcium and magnesium and all those minerals, they're usually in the fluids around the body. 5% are in the fluids around the body. Another thing that brings on acid is when we are stressed and fearful, when we go into flight or fight, the body lets go of these relaxing minerals, and so we can run away from the tiger. And then after we come back from running away from the tiger, to come back to balance again, the body goes looking for the calcium and magnesium. And where are most of the calcium and magnesium stored? In the bones. So being fearful and too much sugar will weaken the bones. So let me show you a great point for helping with spleen. Spleen is really to do with making blood. And in Western medicine, we understand that the bone marrow makes the blood. It's lovely, isn't it? That kind of like when you know something in your bones, when you feel it in your bones, the depth of feeling that that has. And in Chinese medicine, that is kidney and spleen. So the spleen, the spleen makes the blood, and that goes to the marrow of the bone. It gets kind of energized with qi, and then it goes around the whole body. So I'm going to show you a point that will help to energize and move your blood. Do not do this one if you are pregnant. It moves the blood and the uterus so much that it can kind of bring on childbirth. So you don't want to do this when you're pregnant. But can you imagine if you're having problem with periods, cramps, menopause, and your blood fibroids, uterine fibroids, diverticulitis, when you get pockets in the intestinal, when anything is stagnant and not moving, this is the point you want to do. So find your foot and find the top of your ankle bone. Take 4 fingers and press into the fleshy part here. Now, this one is called 3 yin meeting. So the kidney meridian comes up and does this. The liver meridian comes through and does that. And the spleen meridian comes here. So you're getting 3 meridians for the price of 1 here. And maybe if I had the sound on, I would hear a lot of people going, ow! It can be a little bit painful. But massage, hold, release. You can rub, you can tap. This tapping we're going to be doing quite a bit of in Chi Flow with Joe next month. The tapping on the bones actually creates an electrical charge. It's called piezoelectricity, and we use it a lot in Chinese medicine to invigorate the bones. So tapping here, pressing, releasing. Let's go to your other foot. Let's try that other foot. Now, here we go. 4 fingers, top of the ankle bone, pressing into the squidgy mid-bit. Here we go. Press, massage, and release. Tap. Tapping into the bone, invigorating the bone, piezoelectricity, generating an electrical charge. This happens with any crystalline structures, and that's what a bone is. Did you know that they are stronger than granite? Amazing things are bones. Press in, spleen 6. Feel the nourishment of the blood. It's great if you've got fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, long COVID. This is a real strong point in the body. And we will be covering more points in the upcoming month for Chi Flow with Joe. And the other thing that Qigong is really good for is to actually, Western medicine says that load-bearing and weight-bearing exercises build bone strength. And they really do. But if you're like me, I'm not going to be going to a gym. I'm not going to be trying out lots of new machinery that might even damage my body because I don't know how to use it. So what we do in Qigong is we use the body's own weight to practice moves. Now, I can't do them quite here and now, but what we will be doing in the upcoming months is we will also be doing a practice which is called Marrow Washing, where we use the intention and the mind to actually wash the bones, wash the very marrow of the bones and invigorate them with qi. But for now, maybe what I could do is I could show you maybe a half Qigong move. So normally you would do this standing up and you would hold the moon. So hold, imagine you've got a beach ball above your head. And we hold the moon, bring the moon down. See if you can feel the energy between the palms of your hands. Bring it in line with your head, and then up we go again. Now, normally in Qigong, we're going to be standing in horse stance, which is quite a wide stance for this. So we're going to be doing some gentle squats and increasing the bone mass through the legs, the knees, the thighs. But even by doing this, you are increasing the bone mass through the arms and the fingers Gather the chi together, bring it down over the head, over the chest. And always we finish with taking the energy right down to the lower dantian, because you don't want energy stuck in your head, overthinking. You don't want energy stuck in your heart, over emotional. You want to be a real grounded, solid human being. So I hope that that has kind of given you a brief picture of how to build strong bones in Chinese medicine. You've got some food, the blue-black foods, the salty food, the mineral-rich food, and then again, how not to leak your energy. So you leak your strength of your bones. So stay away from the sugars and work on calming the body. A lot of what we will do it kind of takes us out of the post-traumatic stress so that we don't get triggered all the time. We're able to be present in the moment and know what is true and what is not. I hope that's really helped, and I'm going to open it up for some questions now. And this is often where the juicy bits come, all the things that I haven't thought of telling you. So let's have a look. So you're now all unmuted. So let me know if you have any questions. You can unmute yourself. And did that make sense to people? Did people kind of have any penny drop moments and kind of go, oh yeah, of course that would be it? Did anybody want me to show you the points again? Annie, I can see you raising a hand, so I'm going to show you the points again. So what you do is put your hands on your hips. Now turn them around so that your thumb faces forwards and your fingers are facing to your spine. Take your fingers in until you get to that muscular ridge either side of the spine and massage into here. That's bladder 23. If you want, you can also come out a little bit, and that's bladder 52.
Okay.
That's why when you use your hands and you just rub around here, you're getting both bladder 23 and 52. And in scientific studies that they carried out, they showed that actually using these acupuncture points with spleen 6 was more beneficial to bone health than calcium supplementation, which I just think is like, wow, amazing. So rubbing on, did anybody have that kind of sense of peace and calm when you rub on that, when you rub on the bladder 23? Especially when you draw it around the waist channel, bring it down underneath your belly button. Maud, yeah, you can unmute yourself. I can see that you have a question. It seems like maybe you can't unmute yourself. You might want to type it in the chat. Let's have a look in the chat. Trina. Oh, yes, Trina is asking, are the kidneys related to the knees? Absolutely. Quite often the back of the body is related to kind of our ancestors. The kidneys would really contain a lot of our genetic information. And the knees, if you have problems with your knees, it's a lot about kind of moving forwards and feeling the support of your ancestors behind you. And there's bladder 40, which is behind the knee. So if you go right into the middle behind the knee and press into there, that's really good at releasing any stagnation or stiffness that you have in the knees. And they're very much, the kidney is the source energy. I didn't talk about this time of year, but it's the winter. It's when everything goes back to stillness. So talking about that kind of bone marrow, a real foundation of everything. And the kidneys and this area here is said to be, if we go a bit more complex into Chinese medicine, we have 3 treasures, which are the Jing, the Shen, and the Qi. So the Jing is our ancestral energy, and you might see that as our DNA. And the DNA is stored in these strands in the body that are spirals, and they're full of things called telomeres. And the telomeres at the end of the chromosome, a bit like a shoelace. And if these telomeres get frayed and they shorten, it shortens our life. So that's the Western aspect. In Chinese medicine, we would call it Jing. What really shortens the telomeres, by the way, is stress. That is the biggest thing. You'd think that maybe it was COVID. You'd think that maybe it was a different disease, but it's not. Stress really shortens your life. And I really do think in the next 20 years, that is going to be a real key to health, that they're not going to be talking about so much about food, or it's going to be key strategies to deal with stress. So these telomeres that are like little shoelaces, and then the plastic bit comes off the end of your shoelace and it gets really frayed, that's like your telomere. So your DNA strands can become broken, frayed, and they don't work properly. In Chinese medicine, we call it Jing, and you deplete your Jing. So if you go past your levels of energy and your willpower drives you forwards because you are frightened, because you doubt yourself, because you are impatient, then you will deplete your Jing and you'll have problems through your menopause, and your bones will become more brittle more quickly. Thanks for that question. Anne, yes, the points calmed them down. And Janu, my lower body relaxed when I rub around the kidneys. Yep. Maud, I just wanted to say that I became calm. Lovely. And Annie, it's very relaxing. Thank you, Joanne. I can see Maria. What Qigong movement is good for osteoporosis in the spine? Again, if you already have osteoporosis, you don't want to do too much kind of twisting and curling and all that. But that drawing down the moon, where you stand with your feet hip width apart, you hold the moon and you just gently draw down the moon. So you bend your knees. I'm wondering, can I actually kind of show you here? A second. If I put you up here, I can demonstrate for you, okay? So you can see me now, yeah? Yeah. So I'm holding the moon, I stand quite wide, and I sink down. Draw the moon and draw the hands in line with the head, and coming up. Up the hands go, and down. And up, and down. So that kind of movement.
Thank you, Joanne. Can you hear me?
Yes, Maria, I can.
Where to raise the hand? There's no thing for raising hand. But anyway, it's okay. But thank you.
You're welcome. So I would say there's a lot of Qigong moves that you can do to really kind of strengthen bones. A lot of them we're going to use this month. We're going to be doing kind of balance, ones for balance, and then also ones that kind of open the kidney meridian. So you can see that there's not a lot of too much kind of turning in the spine. Yeah. You're kind of keeping the spine straight, but you're really kind of building the bones in the thighs and the shins and the hips and the arms and the shoulders.
That's great. I have been doing a lot of the twisting and turning in the classes.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that's not doing me any harm either. Do you know?
No, you know that the classes are really quite gentle. They're very effective, but they're very gentle. But just for next month, we are going to be focusing directly. I mean, there's ones that you can do which are dragon and you're really kind of twisting around, and we don't do those in the class. They would be for more advanced level, you know. So what we're going to be doing is weight bearing. So we're using our own body as weight to resist, you know, so that we don't need kind of special machinery. We're just going to be using our body and our muscles. Now,
thank you.
You're welcome. Perfect time to rest at this time of year. Absolutely, Trina. That's what we do. We go back in and nourish the bones. Now, okay.
Yeah, I just want to say, Joanne, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Annie. Hello.
Hi. Well, the Macao then wouldn't be so good for somebody with osteoporosis in the spine. I have that as well, but I don't know how bad it is. Probably not that bad.
It's okay. When we do the Makaho, we turn from side to side, but we don't kind of go into big, like a yoga, big spinal twists. We don't do any of the big spinal twists. We kind of move from side to side, but no deep internal twists.
Yes, yeah. So you wouldn't be for medication at all, which all the doctors want to give you.
I am for medication. Oh yeah, please don't misunderstand me. Absolutely. I am very much, you fall out of a tree, you go to ER. You have got problems, you go to the doctor. You're not feeling well, you'll lose weight very quickly, go to the doctor. You have symptoms, say you have a lot of discharge that is new for you, go to the doctor. What I do is complementary. Definitely complementary. I mean,
well, I realize that. Yes, yeah. But I mean, doctors will tell you to drink milk, and you can end up, as you said, drinking far too much milk and have more acid in the body.
You can, yeah, I know. My son, when he was very young, he had a constant nasal drip, and it builds up mucus on the chest.
Yes.
And we would go to the doctor for regular checkups, and the doctor said the same thing. Well, he needs to be having a lot of milk, and I said, well, he has lots of broccoli, he has lots of seaweed. And not always, the doctors don't always bring in the nutritional aspect. They're not taught that in there. But there is a place for them, and there's a place for this. I think it's about taking, I think the problem with doctors is that we put so much faith in them without taking a responsibility for our own body and our own knowledge.
Yes.
And that doesn't include Dr. Google.
You're so right. Yes. Thank you, Joanne.
You're welcome, Annie, but a good question, because I absolutely don't want people think, oh, well, I'm going to stop taking my osteoporosis medication and do Qigong.
I'm not taking it because there's a new medication called Prolia, which hardens your bone. But I don't know anyway. I'm not taking that. I'd rather do it in the more natural way, the way you are going, And also doctors recommend taking calcium, and they give you some calcium carbonate, and you end up with too much calcium in the blood. You can take too much of the artificial calcium. That's what I mean. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And there's no one fits all.
No,
so really,
unfortunately. Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Joanne.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you. And I'm seeing here, Amateur Shuri, I love that. Find myself doing chi flow moves when I'm waiting for something to boil in the kitchen. And from Caroline, great to reflect. Lovely. And thanks. Oh, you're very welcome, Janu. Janu saying thank you. So grateful to do the Qigong. Yeah, there's quite a few on here. I know that do the Qi flow in the morning. So that's kind of what we're going to be focusing on next month, is the weight-bearing Qigong. So we're going to be really building up. I mean, you're not going to be a bodybuilder. Don't worry. Unless you want to go and enter some competitions and get very suntanned and show off your physique. But unlikely, I still have a belly and I've been doing Qigong for quite a while. So it's not going to make you all ripped. but you're going to find some real health and strength in there. And in that way, emotionally, that makes you able to manage your own impatience, your own self-doubt, and it gives you confidence because you feel good in your body. So if you have any other questions, you know, you can email me. I'm on all the social media stuff. Doors are open to Chi Flow with Joe. If you join today, you get the rest of November for free. And don't forget, there's a free Qigong class on the last day of November, so you can try before you buy. Okay, unless there's any more questions, I think we're going to call it a day. Okay. Take it easy, everyone. Have a lovely, lovely Chi Flow day, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.